Hi, this is Les and Amy from the RevGenetics podcast. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube and now on Spotify, where we do a deep dive on supplements and longevity studies.
Today we are really tearing into this fascinating new study. It just came out last month, January 2026.
And it feels like it finally cracks a code, right?
Yeah.
Something people have kind of known for centuries but didn't really understand.
Exactly. That deep connection between what we eat and, well, how our body actually repairs itself.
And we're talking about seaweed, which, I love my sushi.
We all do.
And I've always heard the seaweed wrapper, the seaweed salad, that it's good for me.
Right.
But I guess I always just thought, well, it's iodine or maybe some fiber.
And it is fiber, which is great, but it turns out it's so much more than just, roughage.
Okay.
This study shows that when you eat this specific seaweed, you're not just digesting it, you're basically provisioning a microscopic army in your gut.
A microscopic army. I love that. Makes my lunch feel a lot more important.
It is. And this study, it actually names the soldiers. Two very specific kinds of bacteria that take that seaweed and turn it into this, super powerful anti-aging medicine.
So wait, just to be clear, I'm not eating the medicine. I'm feeding the little guys who make the medicine.
That's it, exactly. It's a supply chain. You give them the raw materials, and they do all the manufacturing.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if my sushi habit is actually a tactical military operation for my health, I need the details.
To really get it, we have to start with the battlefield.
Yeah.
The gut.
The castle analogy.
It's the best way to see it. So imagine your gut lining is a medieval castle. The most important part is the wall.
Right. The wall has to be strong, keep the enemies out, but let supplies in.
Yes, and in your body, that wall is the lining of your intestine.
And in a healthy person, that wall is solid. The bricks are tight. But this study, it was focused on a specific problem.
It was. They looked at mice with a condition like colitis or IBD.
Okay, so their castle wall is what? Under siege.
It's a disaster zone. The mortar between the bricks is crumbling, there are huge holes in the wall, and all the bad guys, toxins, bad bacteria, are flooding in.
And I'm guessing the castle guards, they freak out.
Big time. The guards are your immune system, and they start, running around screaming, lighting fires everywhere.
And that's inflammation. The castle is literally on fire.
Yes, because the guards are trying to fight off the invaders that are getting through the broken wall.
This is basically leaky gut, isn't it?
Precisely. And while the study looked at colitis, this idea of a leaky gut, it applies to a lot of us, especially as we get older. It's a huge driver of inflammation everywhere.
Okay, so castle on fire, walls are down, total chaos, and then our hero arrives.
Fucoidan, the compound from brown seaweed.
Wakame, right, the stuff in miso soup.
That's the one. And in the study, when they gave this Fucoidan to the sick mice, it acted like this massive supply drop.
But here's the catch, and I think this is what people miss about nutrition. The seaweed itself doesn't, pick up a shovel and start fixing the wall.
Now, you can't just plaster it on a wound. It's just raw material. It's like dropping a pile of high-quality stone and mortar into the courtyard.
You still need the workers, the builders.
If you don't have the workers, that pile of stone just sits there.
And this is where the special forces come in. These two specific bacteria that can do the job.
Their names are a bit of a mouthful.
They are Bacteroides finegoldii.
And Bacteroides goldsteini.
Yeah, let's just stick with BF and PG for everyone listening.
The repair crew. I like that. D, F, and PG.
So in a sick gut, in those mice, are these guys around?
No, and that's the whole problem. Their numbers are critically low. The bad guys have taken over.
But when the seaweed supply drop comes,
something amazing happens. BF and PG love to eat this stuff. It gives them this huge competitive advantage.
So they wake up, they eat, and they start multiplying like crazy.
Exactly. Their numbers just exploded. And as they did, they crowded out the bad guys.
Yeah.
There's this group called proteobacteria.
The looters in the burning castle.
Perfect analogy. As BF and PG thrived, the proteobacteria numbers just plummeted.
So it's a turf war. And just by feeding the good guys, you starve out the bad guys.
It is absolutely a turf war, but that's only step one. You still have a broken wall to fix.
And this is the aha moment of the paper for me. It's not just that the bacteria are there.
It's what they produce.
These metabolites, right?
Right. BF and PG, they digest the seaweed, and as a byproduct, they create two specific molecules. They're secret weapons.
Betaine and spermidine.
Betaine and spermidine.
Okay, let's pause on these. I've heard of spermidine in longevity circles, but I didn't realize gut bacteria were making it.
They are a primary source.
So, back to the castle. If BF and PG are the workers, what are betaine and spermidine?
Let's start with betaine. Think of betaine as the mortar. the actual stuff that fixes the wall.
How does it do that?
The researchers found it physically tightened the connections between the cells in the gut wall. Those tight junctions you hear about.
The zipper.
Yes. Your gut is made of cells zipped together by proteins. In the sick mice, the zippers were broken.
Gaps everywhere.
But when the bacteria made betaine, it told the cells to make more of those zipper proteins. The zippers tightened, the wall was sealed.
Okay, that fixes the structure. The leak is stopped. What about the fire, the inflammation?
That's spermidine's job. While betaine is fixing the bricks, spermidine is this high-tech fire extinguisher.
And it goes for the immune cells, the guards.
It goes straight to them and basically reprograms them. It flips them from attack mode into healing mode.
So it turns off the chemical fire alarms.
That's a great way to put it. It stops them from screaming, fire, attack. The inflammation just goes out.
And the mice, they actually got better.
Significantly. They lost less weight, and their colons, which usually get short and scarred from inflammation, looked healthy. It was a complete reversal.
Wow. So you eat the seaweed, the repair crew eats it, they make the mortar and the fire extinguishers, and the castle is saved.
And we can't do it on our own. We rely 100% on that crew to do it for us. It's an incredible system.
It really is. And, this whole area of research is exactly why we do these deep dives.
Right.
It's also why RevGenetics supports our mission to explore the latest in human health and longevity.
Well, it's interesting because this study shows bacteria making betaine and spermidine, but RevGenetics has been focused on providing evidence-based natural compounds like these for years.
Yeah, it's really validating to see new research confirm just how vital these specific molecules, like spermidine, really are for keeping our internal systems running smoothly.
Absolutely. It moves it from just, general wellness to specific molecular actions.
So we've talked about the how, but let's zoom out a bit. What does this mean for us? For the future of medicine? This changes how we think about probiotics, right?
Oh, it absolutely does. Right now, when you buy a probiotic, it's kind of a shotgun approach.
Yeah, here's a few billion bacteria, good luck. Hope you survive the stomach acid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this points to next-gen probiotics, where a doctor could test your gut and say, oh, you're specifically missing Bacteroides finegoldii.
And they prescribe just that one strain, a precision capsule of BF and PG.
Yes, but it goes a step further. You have to remember, they needed the fuel. They needed the Fucoidan.
Right. If you take the bacteria but only eat junk food,
They starve and die.
yeah.
The supply drop never shows up. And that's why the future is probably something called symbiotics.
Symbiotics. Okay, what's that?
Syn for synergy. It means you take the bacteria, the probiotic, and their specific food, the prebiotic, all in the same capsule.
So the repair crew arrives with their lunchbox already packed.
That's it. It guarantees they can get to work right away.
That makes so much sense. But what about just skipping the middleman? If the bacteria are just little factories making betaine and spermidine, could we just take those directly?
That is the other huge implication, and probably the most exciting one for immediate therapy. The study actually tested this.
They did.
In lab dishes, yes. They put betaine and spermidine directly on the inflamed cells. No bacteria involved.
And did it work without the workers?
It did. It calmed the inflammation and it tightened the junctions.
Wow.
This suggests that for people with really severe gut issues, maybe people who can't even support good bacteria yet.
Or they just finished a huge round of antibiotics.
Exactly. We could potentially treat them directly with these metabolites. We call them postbiotics.
Postbiotics. So prebiotics are the food, probiotics are the bacteria, and postbiotics are the medicine they make.
You got it. And this is where it connects back to what you said earlier about spermidine and anti-aging. You mentioned autophagy.
Right. Cellular cleanup. Helping cells take out the trash. Spermidine is a superstar for that.
And this study adds a whole new layer. Spermidine isn't just cleaning up cells on the inside, it's physically healing the barrier of the gut on the outside.
And if that barrier is strong, you stop toxins from leaking into your blood.
Which stops chronic inflammation.
Which is a primary driver of aging, inflammaging.
That's the one. If your gut is leaky, your immune system is always on high alert, and that wears your body out faster. So spermidine is a double win for longevity. It helps clean the cells and it seals the gut, stopping the inflammation at its source.
Now, I do have to be the skeptic for a second here. This was a mouse study.
That's a valid and crucial point. Always.
Mice aren't just tiny humans. Their microbiomes, their diets, it's all different.
You're right. We'd have to be careful translating. But the actual mechanisms, the biology of how that castle wall is built, that's extremely similar.
The zipper proteins?
Yes. Humans use the same ones, occludin and ZO1. Our immune systems use the same chemical alarms, IL-6 and TNF-alpha, so the machinery they're fixing is the same.
So the fundamental biology holds up.
It does. And we know humans have Bacteroid species. We know humans eat seaweed. It just validates this idea that eating complex fibers isn't just about, being regular.
It's about keeping your internal pharmacy open for business.
Internal pharmacy. I like that. It suggests that with the right inputs, our bodies have this incredible machinery to heal themselves. It reframes eating. You're not just filling a void, you're communicating with your cells.
Okay, so let's just recap what we've learned today. It all starts with the brown seaweed, that Fucoidan extract.
Right, that's the fuel. It goes into the gut, where our repair crew, the bacteria BF and PG, are waiting.
They feast on that seaweed, and then they churn out two really powerful molecules, betaine and spermidine.
And those two are the dynamic duo. Betaine is the mortar, sealing the gut wall, and spermidine is the fire extinguisher, calming down the immune system.
And the result is a stronger castle, less inflammation everywhere, and a healthier body. All from a piece of kelp. It's pretty incredible.
It really is. And here's a final thought I want to leave everyone with. We tend to think of our stomach as just a fuel tank. Food in, energy out.
Sure.
But this study proves your gut is really a manufacturing plant. It's a factory.
A factory where we are the managers.
Exactly. You are the plant manager. And every single time you eat, you are sending a shipment of raw materials down to the factory floor. So the real question is, what materials are you sending down today?
Are you sending down processed junk that clogs the machines, or are you sending the high-quality building blocks your bacteria workers need to build a fortress?
That is a powerful way to look at lunch. I think I'm going to go order that seaweed salad.
I think that's a great idea. Thanks for listening. We hope today's episode gave you valuable takeaways from the study.
Thank you for listening to the RevGenetics podcast.
RevGenetics.com for the best longevity supplements on Earth.